Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for joining the call today. I'm going to go through our new strategic planning application, and this meeting shouldn't take more than about 45 minutes. I'm actually recording this session so that I can post it to YouTube, and so if you want to come back and revisit what we went over, I'm also just going to do a quick one-pager with instructions on how to log in and just a reminder. But I will tell you, unlike Compliance Assist, where I had numerous YouTube videos and many handouts, you're going to find that this system is really simple and really easy, and I think you're going to like it. So I want you to think back to spring convocation, our meeting that Dr. Tobin gave us to introduce us to our new strategic plan. So this module really has been created very specifically for the new strategic plan. So previously, we were putting our unit plans and budget requests into the planning module of Compliance Assist. Going forward, we will continue to use the planning module. Faculty, you'll use it for your student learning outcomes. However, from this point forward, for the new strategic plan beginning in 21-22, we will put that data in this module, which is a part of the family of applications we call ECM, which Connie and Collis Hoffman have been adding to and have created for us over the last 3 or 4 years. So in the Compliance Assist, it was very hard to sort of see anything but what was at your level. So if you'll remember, you logged in, you clicked on the org chart, and you could see what you had created, but you had to manipulate a couple of drop downs and do like 4 or 5, maybe even more clicks in order to see your strategies that your VP were assigned, which are now called objectives. So the objective and strategy, wording has changed, which we'll go over in a minute. In addition, you had to do even more clicks to see the overall college goals. We previously had 3 goals, now we just have 2. But what's so great about this system is with every strategy that you write, you very easily are going to see at the top of the form the goals and the objectives that are at the VP level. It's going to make it so much easier for you to very clearly see, first of all, what you're measuring and how it's related to the plan as a whole. Before, in most cases, even though you may have met with your supervisor to talk about what your unit plan would be, in a lot of cases, everyone was sort of working in a silo. You would write whatever you wanted your plan to be, and then you would look for what the level above strategy was so that you could link yourself to it. We worked very much from the bottom up. Now, Dr. Tobin really wanted us to change the way we work to be from the top down. We want to all measure the same thing. And so that we can very easily not only just see our success, but also make sure that we are all working toward the same goal and seeing where we are every quarter, not just once a year. So this system is very much tailor-made to make sure that we see that. Now, if you haven't already met with your supervisor to take a look at your plan, I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm going to use Candace's as an example today while we're working through. But for now, in order to sort of simplify the process, over here in Academic Affairs, we've been putting unit plan strategies, which is what we're going to be putting in, not objectives this time. We're going to be putting in these strategies, but we've already started to carve out our unit plan in a spreadsheet, which is going to make it a lot easier. So, pardon me, over here in Academic Affairs, Ms. Donna, she did her unit plan first. Then at that point, she started meeting with the deans. So you can see here, strategy 1.1.1, This same strategy is in Donna's unit plan, and it rolled down into Candace's. And going forward, it also is going to roll into the program coordinators, because you can see this specific strategy has to do with 100% of students getting a communication from the program coordinator. So we've copied this same strategy down to keep the verbiage the same. So in your area or in your division, your spreadsheet may not look exactly like this, but the possibility is that if you haven't already met with your supervisor, you will very shortly, and they will share their unit plan with you in a spreadsheet that looks something like this. So the fact that we've done it like this makes it really easy to just go in and paste in the already, sort of planned out strategies so that you can copy and paste in. And so that's what I'm going to use today. I'm going to pretend that I'm Candace, and we're going to use her strategies to show you how the product works. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about how you're going to get here. Those of you who are program coordinators, you more than likely have already had access and you use ECM, be it through student advising indicator, course outlines, faculty office hours. When I say ECM, you probably know what I'm talking about. The only person who may not is James. James, have you ever used ECM before? Uh-oh, you're muted. I can't hear you.
First time.
First time. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to show you how to enter into the login. So if you go all the way down at the bottom of the OC Tech website, there is a faculty staff access link here. And you can see it at the bottom of the list, enrollment and case management. Connie is also working this week to get approval to put a link to ECM on the SharePoint page as well. So one or the other, you can use that link, and you can also bookmark this link as well, ecm.octech.edu. That's what I've done over here, is just bookmark it. So you will log in with your email address. And so once you do that, it'll show you everything that you have access to. Previously, this was not a single sign-on scenario. When they first started making these databases for us and coding them, we didn't know that we would have this many, like 3 or 4 years ago when we created the first one. So at that point, you may have been logging into different applications on this list with different passwords. But very recently, Collis has updated it so it's a single sign-on scenario. So the next time that you log in, you may actually see like a message up in this area in red type that says, hey, please reset your password and set up a 4-digit PIN. And that is going to allow you to get in everything with one password. The reason you can't see it on mine is because I've already done it. But the next time you log in, look out for that. I'm pretty sure it actually comes from the top of the screen, but it's in red writing and it'll kind of pop out at you. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Alrighty. So when you click on this little arrow here, you're able to see all of the applications that you have access to. Strategic planning is going to be listed all the way at the bottom. So you'll click here, and then the menu on the left will appear. So you'll know that you're in strategic planning, you're looking at where you're supposed to be. All right, so planning year. Over here on the left, it is going to automatically put you in the current year. So, for right now, we're writing plans for 21-22, so you're in the right year as you are. However, you'll notice there's also this drop down with the year listed. Collis has already put that there for us because 5 years from now, you're going to want to look back and kind of manipulate between years. So that's why that drop down is there, is for future use when we have multiple years of data stored. So in addition, you are not going to see administration and you're not going to see add employees. Those are administrative features that just I can see. You're going to have a create button and an update button. So it's pretty easy. If you click on create, if you have never started a unit plan before, you'll click create. If you've already done some work and you just want to add, change, or update, you click on update. So we're going to go ahead and click on create. So the system has already pre-populated a lot of information at the top of this form. And a lot of this we did not have access to in Compliance Assist. So it's great. It saves you some time and effort. For instance, the date. At the bottom of the unit plan form, there was a field where you were supposed to put in the date that you had last updated. Well, I use Compliance Assist almost every day, and I would sometimes forget to update the current date. So what's really good about this new system is it does it for you. It's going to put a timestamp on when you make changes, which is nice. Next is a drop down for the planning year. So I'm actually writing my unit plan now. I'm writing for 21-22. It's going to know who you are because you put in an email address and logged in. So it gives you your executive team member to know that I'm in academic affairs. Your unit supervisor or dean will be here. And then who's responsible for writing the unit plan? You'll see your name there. Now, this other personnel required field doesn't really mean a lot right now, but it will going forward. If you'll remember back, oh, here's Henry. If you'll remember back during convocation, Dr. Tobin talked about making sure that the strategic plan rolled all the way down to the employee level. Within the next month or so, we're going to be adding functionality to this page, and this other personnel required box will be important. At that point, you'll be able to click on a person's name and then add up to 3 objectives for that individual employee. So we're not doing it right now, but I just wanted to give you a heads up of why that field is there. We wanted to make sure that everyone entered their unit plans first before we started entering the employee objectives. But that is what that field is for. So everyone, like for instance, Mike, you're going to see, your faculty underneath there. For James, you're going to see, all of your physical plant employees there in that box. And finally, the last drop down up at this top section is the department or program that you're writing the unit plan for. So mine's pretty cut and dry because I only have one unit plan to write. However, let's say Fran Andrews, for instance. She has more than one program that she has to write a unit plan for. So she would have RAD and RAD online. So if you have more than one unit plan to write, then you would differentiate between the two, click on the one that you want to start writing for, and you're good to go. Alrighty, so let's actually start writing a strategy. As I mentioned earlier, very clearly at the top, you can see what it is you're writing a strategy for. This year, or this plan over the next 2 years, has 2 main goals. Goal 1 has 5 objectives. So your strategy that you write is going to be related to one of these 5 objectives that you will choose by clicking on these radio buttons. So this first example, we're going to use Candace's as an example, and we're going to do her first strategy, which is related to objective 1.1. So you can see here on the spreadsheet, I've named it 1.1.1 to sort of keep myself straight. In Compliance Assist, if you'll remember, every time you wrote a unit plan on the form, you had to number it yourself. So for Mike, for instance, your first one would be MTT-1. However, it was very confusing because if you had one that had rolled forward from the year before, you would have 2 1s sometimes, or, it was hard. It was difficult to number. That has gone away. This system numbers it for you. So once you hit save, you can see the self-numbering or the auto-numbering is already started here. It will automatically put 1.1.1. If I begin writing a second strategy that also has these same buttons chosen, it'll become 1.1.2 and so on. Now, if, let's say, one of your fellow program coordinators, their 1.1.1 is not the same as yours, that's fine. The numbering is individual to the user. So even your 1.1.1 might not be the same thing as mine, but it doesn't matter. What we really wanted to do was have the number there. So as you're working with your supervisor, it's a really quick and easy way for you to, discuss and know which item you're talking about. All right, so
we only pick one of those objectives.
Yes, you will only pick one for the strategy that you're writing. And then as you continue writing, choose the next. Yeah. So you can see over here in the spreadsheet, Candace has, let's see, 11 strategies that are related to objective 1.1, but I might only have 4. So then, it's depending on whatever objective you choose, it's going to number it automatically. Okay, so now we're getting down into the fields that are actually filling out the unit plan. This name of strategy field is only 60 characters long, so it's kind of short, but it's enough. You may have to do some abbreviating, but it is something very quick that will remind you what the strategy is about. So you can see here in the spreadsheet that when Candace met with Donna, we went ahead and sort of made it easy to identify what would go in the different fields. So in just sort of this normal case here, she has put the actual strategy just in regular case. What this statement here in all caps is how we're going to measure it. And then the time frame is here in green. So if you remember back to convocation, we talked about the new strategic plan, and what was so important about our strategies was that all of them had to be measurable and that they had to have a time frame involved. So most of us previously, when you put your unit plans into Compliance Assist, you logged in Compliance Assist twice a year. Once in March to put them in, and then in September, you'd have to log in and put in the results. Many people would log in September and say, oh, I remember, I had that unit plan item. Oh, I didn't remember that. Oh, I didn't do that. So that was part of the reason why the VPs realized and Dr. Tobin realized that we needed to get a time frame involved, and that unit planning needed to be more than just sort of this annual thing that we do to check the box for SACs. And so the form has really been tailor-made to do that. From now on, you will meet with your supervisor every quarter to assess where you are with these strategies that you're writing. So that is why you're going to put a quarter for every one of these strategies. You're going to define by which quarter it should be done. And some of them, it's going to happen every term. So you're going to click, all 4 boxes. But some of them, you'll just do it across the whole year. And in quarter 4 is when you're expected to be done. So let's take a look back over here at the form. This is this strategy. This is the example we're going to use. 2 weeks prior to the beginning of the admitting term, 100% of students are going to get a text from their program coordinator to tell them to look at all these documents that have been emailed to them. So we're going to add in a quick title here. This one is about program coordinator student communication with students. We have our strategy here. Next, we're going to do a measurement of success. So how are we going to be able to tell if this happened or not? Well, Greg can automate the process of sending out the texts through benchmark 1. And then the program coordinators will provide documents to him, so every program coordinator will define the texts that go out. All right, so now here's a time frame for completion. So for nursing, for cohort programs like Candace is the example, the admitting term is usually just first quarter. though I guess it really could be third as well, because now she's got a spring cohort. But if your program takes in students, new students every term, then you would click all of them. But, you know, it really is just going to depend upon your program. Alrighty, now at this point, everything's going to start looking really familiar because it's exactly the same as it was in Compliance Assist. You're going to have 3 fields each for baseline, success metric, and achievement. So you can see here we've got a numerical baseline, a percent, and an explanation. Well, this is the first time we've ever done this. So this year we're going to be setting up a baseline. So I'm going to throw some zeros in here and say baseline will be established this academic year. And then the data source, once again, we just said it above, is going to be benchmark 1 reports. So now comes our success metric. So we know that 100% of students, what we said up here earlier, are going to get the text. Now, I don't know how many students that is for Candace, but that is the number that is going to go here. For you, you know, if you have 50 students in your program, 100%, 50 would be what goes in here. So everybody's going to have a different number there. So I would say in Candace's area, ballpark 330. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so now we get down to achievement. These are grayed out because right now you don't have to enter anything there, so they're not available for you to type into. The last piece of this strategy is whether or not you need to make a budget request. So if you'll remember in Compliance Assist, if you wanted to make a budget request, you had to write the unit plan separately. And then there was another form that you had to go and add the budget requests, and then I had to relate them together. All of that is gone. It is very simple. If you want to make a budget request, you make it right now at the bottom of the strategy. So if you don't want to make one, you just leave it blank. But if you do, if you hit this radio button, your budget request fields are going to appear. And they are the same ones that you saw in Compliance Assist. So you're going to be able to put in an amount. You'll choose a budget category, which defines the purchase. And remember, these funds are above and beyond your normal operating budget. And then you'll give me an explanation of what you want to buy. And that's the bottom of the strategy. So at this point, you would click Save. And if you've got time and you want to write another one, you just click Add Another Strategy and keep going. You don't have to click Save and go back and create another. It's seamless. You just keep on rolling to the next. So we're going to do one more example. This time we're going to do a goal 2. And we will do, let's find what Candace is. Let's do a 2.2. I'm going to go ahead and copy this one in. So this one is 100% of programs will offer at least 2 work-based learning sessions. So spring job shadowing sessions. I know that some of you guys have actually been doing those over the last several weeks on Fridays. So the measurement of success for this strategy, that could be invitations, it could be survey data, etc. How you're going to know that you actually did it. And then time frame. This happens in spring, so we would click 3rd quarter for this one. So your baseline is going to be 0 because, well, actually, I guess technically this year you may have done one. So, if Candace, she has, let's see, 100% of programs. So she has 4 programs. Technically, let's say 2 did it. And so half of her programs did it. So in 2021, 2 programs provided at least 2 sessions. And then, of course, our success metric is back up here for us. 100% will do at least 2 sessions. I'm going to copy that in. And so if you have 4 programs, you put 4. And then this one, I'm not going to do a budget request. I'm just going to leave it blank and hit save. So now let's say
I got a question about the
yeah, sure.
scroll back up to the baseline and stuff. I don't understand that part. Numerical baseline there. I could do this same one because I've already done 2 of those, but I'm the only program. I mean, there's only one welding program. So what would be my numerical baseline? 0?
No, actually, for you, it would be counting the number of sessions. It's because I'm looking at the dean level that it's a little confusing. So your strategy is actually going to say the program will offer 2 sessions. So your baseline or your success metric would be 2 sessions, you know, and you would this year, if you just offered 1, that would have been 50% of getting where you needed to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see you. I see what you're doing there. Okay.
Okay.
So I would actually have met that success metric.
Definitely.
Okay. Good
Okay.
deal.
So let's say at this point, you've put in some strategies, but you've got a meeting, a student is standing there waiting for you. You need to hit save and then come back later to finish. At this point, you click done and save, and it gives you a little message there that popped up that said unit plan saved, and it took me back to the main menu. So at this point, 3 days later, when I log back in, I'm going to go straight to update, and it'll allow me to view what I had previously created. Now, you guys won't see all of these. It's just because I have admin access. You're only going to see your own unit plans. So if you have more than one, like I said, Fran did earlier, she will see her 2 there, one for RAD and one for RAD online. So let's take a look at what we created. At this point, if you want to add more strategies, you want to continue adding to your unit plan, you just click the Add Strategies button and keep on doing what we were doing just a minute ago. But let's say, for instance, you've talked with your supervisor and you want to make changes. At the bottom of every one of these forms, there's an Edit This Strategy button, and you would individually touch and update those strategies. You can also see here that the auto numbering has happened for us. So this strategy is 1.1.1. The other one that we worked on is 2.2.1, based upon the objective that we had chosen. So let's go ahead and click Edit on this first one. It brings up your edit screen in another window to make it very clear that this is where you edit and that you're saving back, which is nice. And you can see that all of these fields are clickable. You can go in and change what you need to. In addition, the achievement fields have now become live, so that at the end of the year, you can log in, or the end of the quarter, whenever it is, depending on the strategy, you can log in and put in achievement here. There's also a delete button. So what we would love for you to do is log in and do what I just did and play around with this. And so if you create some test strategies, you can very easily delete them like I just did. All right, so now let's talk about time frame. I mentioned earlier that you would be meeting with your program coordinator every quarter to assess your progress on your unit plan. In addition to that, your supervisor is going to be able to look at your unit plan once it's completed and approve it, and then hit save so that you'll be able to see that your plan has been approved by your supervisor. Now, every quarter when you meet, your supervisor can then give you some different instructions here and assess where the plan as a whole, not an individual strategy, but the unit plan overall, whether or not you're making progress or not. So for instance, if it's the end of quarter one and you haven't made any progress, your supervisor would click that, and then there is a text field over here where they can add notes about what you need to do, if you need assistance, who you're going to get it from, etc., to make sure that you're going to continue to progress. And that'll happen for every single quarter. And hopefully at the end of the fourth quarter, they'll click complete. And every quarter has a different save button here. So let's talk a little bit about who can see what you're working on. Of course, your supervisor is going to have access to view your unit plan. However, we talked earlier about over here on the create side, that other personnel required box. Your program faculty, for you program coordinators, and actually for James as well, your team members in physical plant, they are going to be able to log into this system and view your unit plan. They will not be able to edit, but they will be able to view. They aren't going to have the create or update buttons. They'll just have like a drop down, but they can read what is there. All right, I'm going to take a quick break for questions.
What is the purpose for the personnel required?
The other personnel required, that actually is going to come in about a month. So that is a piece that Dr. Tobin wanted to make sure that every goal and objective actually rolled down to the employee level. So each employee, each faculty member, each admin, everybody is going to be given some specific objectives that relate to the strategic plan that you will record in here. And so really that's what that other personnel required box is for. We just didn't do it yet. We wanted everybody to get their unit plans in first before we sort of took the next step to do the individual employee objectives. But they'll actually mirror what's over in the FPMS, like, that
peer
employee
review
system.
Be like a peer review?
Not necessarily a peer review, but it's actually what is done through HR. So of course it won't have any like personal information in it, but it will just be some 2 or 3 objectives for each employee that relate to the plan that are stored here. And they will also be over in HR as well, with then more information about performance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Now, the other screen you were on just a while ago, whenever they were doing the job shadowing, I had several students that I said that I was going to do this and they didn't show up. So
Yes.
Is that going to be something that's going to be counted against me, or would I have to measure that and say they didn't show up, or what's the deal with it?
No, you actually had planned and were available and you were here to offer the session. So you certainly could put in that, you had completed the activity, but what you may want to do in your use of results field where you talk about continuous improvement is mention that no students came, and maybe talk about other activities or ways that maybe you could reach out to early college students to have them come next year. But yeah, you did what you could do.
Well, I had, video cameras. I already had all kinds of presentations ready for them, stuff like that. And so, that's something that I could have maybe sent to them back to the school. I don't know, maybe to the guidance counselor or whatever.
Definitely. I mean, and I think that's a great thing to put in, as in that use of results field, is that next year you may go ahead and do the same activities that you would have offered in person and make them virtual. That's a great recruiting tool. Okay, any other questions? Okay.
I don't think I have any. So the next time we click into Compliance Assist, it's going to come up as this.
No, this is actually somewhere else, Waylon. I know that you joined a little bit late and you missed the login part. If you don't mind, after we stop, can you hang around and I'll do the first part of the presentation for you? Okay, good.
Yeah, that's fine.
I will say this though, guys. I am available to help you do this the first time. So if you would prefer to, we can meet on Zoom, you can come to my office, whatever works best. And I'm happy to sit down and walk you through the first time and, so you feel a little bit more comfortable. But all of you already have access to this, and I would encourage you to go ahead and log in and just do what I did a minute ago. Create a unit plan, click around, see how everything works, and then you can click on Update and choose a plan. Sorry, I've confused it because I've clicked back and forth. There we go. And then just at the very bottom, then you can go here and click on Edit and delete it, which is what I'm going to do too, since those aren't mine.
So you're recording this now, and so you're going to send us the link?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to post it on YouTube and send it to everyone.
Okay.
And also, I am going to be offering some more training sessions next week that I'll send you in an email. And so, feel free as you play around with it and you get more questions, you certainly can come to a session if you can, or you can reach out to me one-on-one and I'm happy to help. I'm going to try next week to have more like late afternoon sessions or even evening sessions, because I know that there are those faculty members who, they have clinical or something like that. They have odd schedules. So I'm going to do my best to accommodate everyone individually next week.
Quick question, Leah.
Yeah.
I have had issues with actual logging into this thing.
To ECM? Okay.
Yes. Is it a different password from all the other systems?
Actually, the way ECM was set up initially, because they're all separate applications, you may have had different passwords for different applications. So for instance, you may have had one password for semester advising indicator and another password for, say, course outlines. But now, if you go to the login page, Collis has added a single sign-on feature. So you can't really see it on mine because I've already done it. But what it will allow you to do is reset your password so that you have one password to get into everything. And I think he just did that last night. So you can try it. If you don't see that, reach out to Connie. But hopefully that change, once you reset your password, you're not going to have any more problems, Lamont.
Okay, yeah, because I've been having issues with that, and she have to send me a pin every time. For some reason, the two passwords are just not communicating when it tries to get into this ECM.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, like I say, if you can't get your password to reset, please reach out to Connie and she'll get you settled, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys. Well, let me know if you want to set up an appointment. Thank you so much for logging on. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, you too.
Have a good one.